Welcome again to another edition of Inside Richmond Football with head coach Tony Lewis. This week, the Red Devils travel to Lafayette, Jeff, to take on the Broncos. They are leading now in the North Central Conference, one of two teams that are still undefeated and will be ranked again this week, I'm sure, in both the coaches and the AP polls. Red Devils coming off a tough home loss against McCutcheon. We're going to talk with Coach Lewis about that, and, of course, we'll preview that Bronco game coming up as well. Friday night, boy, I tell you what, the first couple of drives offensively, everything looked really good. We'll talk about your quarterback situation as well. And then a couple of mistakes again. It just seems like you take that one step forward, a couple of steps back. Go back to Friday and just kind of give us a little bit of an analysis of what you saw.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. We came out, drove the ball down the field, had an opportunity on a fade route to Trayshawn there in the corner of the end zone. But, again, we got backed up on that same drive to third and long situation. We get positive plays and then back ourselves up, whether it's through penalties, whether it's through a negative run or whatever it is. Had an opportunity. Trayshawn made a great catch, tried to get his foot in bounds, couldn't quite do it. Defensively, right off the bat, they hit us with the double pass on the first play from scrimmage. Our backside corner was obviously not thinking of double pass at that point in time, but they make a good throw. Thought the first pass may have been a forward pass. It was pretty close to being a forward pass, but it is what it is. But anyway, so they hit us with that. But I thought our kids battled throughout. We got it back at the start of the second half within, I think it was, 20-12 or 21-12. And we had some momentum. And then, things went downhill, whether it was not being able to tackle people defensively, not getting off blocks, offensively not being able to move the ball, hit a couple long passes there. But again, we need to be able to sustain drives offensively and stay away from negative plays. And then defensively, again, we're not doing a great job of tackling, and that's something that we're working on daily in practice. So, we came out of the game with some injuries. Some guys were on crutches Saturday morning. Clayton Raper was on crutches. Sam Gamboa was on crutches. Evan, Chris Guest was on crutches, and we're not sure of the status on Wyatt and everything. He went out late in the game. So, anyway, we've got some guys down, and anytime you have a thin squad in terms of depth, that puts things into perspective on terms of backups and stuff. So we're working on that.
Hey, Coach, when you speak of tackling, is high school football and maybe even football in general in kind of a catch-22 because you've got to work on tackling and yet you really can't have as much contact throughout the week as you normally would, like they certainly used to a long time ago?
Right. We have restrictions on how much we can do live tackling, and we don't do a lot of live tackling. We'd like to do more. If we were, a two-deep team, then or a team that everybody was only playing offense or defense, and that's something, and we had the depth that we needed, that would probably be something that we would do more in practice. But even with that being said, you can still do a lot of stuff thud-wise and in terms of thudding up and not taking somebody to the ground. You can tag off on hip and get yourself in a good tackling position by bending your knees and getting in a good swoop what they call hawk swoop tackle position. But again, we're just not finishing with our feet. We're not running our feet on tackles. We're slinging guys. We're hitting too high. So, we've got a lot of work to do. It's a continuing process to try and work on things weekly and daily to get better.
You speak of McCutcheon and their quarterback, very, very good quarterback. We saw two guys on Friday night, including Zach Hill, which we'll get to in a moment. Those guys can really throw the football. Yeah,
he's a guy that can run and throw. Obviously had a big run off of a wrap play where they faked the jet, and he keeps it up the middle. That was a kind of one of the things that broke our back there in the second half. But he throws the ball extremely well. Not a real tall guy, but puts it on the line, and they had some receivers go get it. Again, we need to react better defensively and get our hands on people, whether it's the number 2 receiver, getting our hands on him so he cannot either run vertical and or run a wheel. But again, those are things we're working on. That kid's a very athletic quarterback, and we're going to face a really good quarterback coming this week.
Zach Hill got the start this week. He played some quarterback a little bit last year. I know that's something he's been kind of grooming himself to try to become a starting quarterback at some point. Talk about the move to put him at quarterback and when the decision was made and why.
Well, we made that decision last week in our coaches meeting. We felt like we needed to be able to throw the ball a little bit more than what we've been able to do up to this point. We felt like he does have a strong arm. I thought overall Zach, for his first start this year, did a pretty good job throwing the ball. He's got to recognize some things more quickly, and he's got to carry out his fakes as well. When we're running zone or counter tray and we're reading somebody, he's got to carry out his fakes to give us the opportunity to pull it if we want to pull it. So, but overall, he made some really good throws, and that's something that positive that we can build on going into this week.
Yeah, what a strong arm, though. I talked about McCutcheon and their quarterback, but Zach really a couple of times threw some deep balls that were just incredible and good spirals and everything.
Yeah, he does have a strong arm. He allows us to get the ball down the field, and he was accurate on some of those throws. And obviously Eli Irvin had a big touchdown as a freshman, came in and got a big one of those long throws you're referring to. And so those are things that we got to build on the positives. Again, our kids have to keep plugging away, keep working at it, and it's something that we have to remain positive and accentuate the positives and try and deal with the negatives.
Yeah, before we talk about Lafayette, Jeff, when you speak of also his elusiveness, I thought he was able to get away and scramble quite a bit, which, he's a big fella. I didn't know he had that kind of elusiveness, but he did pretty well.
He did pretty well. And when one of our kids made the comment during film, he said, "Oh, you look like Ben Roethlisberger." And I said, let's not get carried away here now. But, yes, he was pretty elusive and did a good job of using his feet at times. And, again, if he reads the backside end and carries out his fakes and stuff, he can pull it at times and gain 4 to 5 yards, which is all we need.
Yeah, you bet. Hey, by the way, and it is tough. I mean, you're a little over halfway through the football season, and he takes over at this stage. Has he been kind of looking a little bit? Has he been learning that side of the football again, even though he hadn't been at the quarterback position, or is it something that you just said, listen, we got to get you ready quickly?
Well, he's been getting reps most of the year at quarterback, even though he's played tight end for us. He's been a backup quarterback most of the year, so he gets practice reps. So, and he offensively, we've kind of groomed him as the backup quarterback, and then we moved him to tight end. So he got all the concepts and what we're trying to get accomplished up front with our offensive line and our running back. So he knows the offense pretty well. So it wasn't as big a adjustment as maybe some people might have thought.
All right, very good. When we come back, the Broncos on the road this week. We'll talk about Lafayette, Jeff, coming up next right here on Radio Troy Digital Sports.
The Indiana Football Hall of Fame in Richmond, Indiana was founded in 1973. Its mission is to honor the men and women who have excelled in high school, college, or professional football based on their coaching, athletic ability, citizenship, scholarship, and significant supporting contributions to the game of football. The Indiana Football Hall of Fame includes retrospection from Indiana's prestigious football history from the late 1800s to the present. When you visit the hall, you'll see the names like Weeview Bank, Vegas Ferguson, Newt Rockne, and Lamar Lundy. The Indiana Football Hall of Fame is located at 815 North A Street in Richmond and is open Tuesday through Saturday from 11 a.m. until 5 p.m. There is no entrance fee and donations are appreciated. Take time to visit Indiana football history at the Indiana Football Hall of Fame.
This week, it's going to be like playing a video game. When you look at the numbers that the Broncos put up, Coach, it's incredible, and they play really well at home. I heard you guys talking in your coaches' meeting about how much they throw the football, and they may be the one team, if you faced anybody this year that throws, it's the Broncos.
It is. They've got a great, number one, they put you in a lot of situations defensively with all their various formations. They'll get in quads, they'll motion to quads. They'll get in a diamond quads formation, trips wide. They do a lot of things to get you spread out and run the ball just enough to keep you honest, whether it's their tailback running the ball on power, whether it's counter trey with their tailback, or whether it's a quarterback run and draw. Against McCutcheon, they ran a lot of quarterback draw and were very successful. So they throw the ball all over the field. They've got really good receivers, really good athletes out wide. They've got good running backs. Their quarterback is athletic. He's only a sophomore, I believe, and can run and throw. And they do a lot of things special teams-wise. They have all kinds of fakes, whether it's on their extra point. They've got 2 to 3 different types of fakes that they run on extra points, and their kickoff, they'll bunch up and they'll onside it sometimes. They'll pooch it. They do a various amount of different things offensively and defensively. Defensively, on the other side of the ball, they give you a lot of different blitzes. They give you a lot of different looks in the secondary, and going back to depth-wise, they can do that because they're a 2-platoon team. Okay. They've got kids only playing offense and kids only playing defense, and so they're practicing all offense during the practice. They're practicing all defense, and then they come together. So they've got things figured out up there. Obviously, they got plenty of depth, and they do a great job of coaching that depth.
And this is, again, another opportunity for you guys. Though everybody may say on paper there's no way you can go up there and win, but again, you said this, hey, keep it positive.
Right.
You never know. I mean, I'm sure that Old Dominion probably thought the same thing yesterday,
That
too.
was brought up in our coaches' meeting, actually, this morning. The first half hour, I brought up the Old Dominion Virginia Tech game, a 29-point underdog, and I'm sure that would probably be the case. Most people would think that about us. But, again, I view it as an opportunity for our kids to go up and show what we can do, put ourselves in best chance to be successful. And also, we're not going to face a team, again, with all these various formations and how athletic they are. It's going to be tough for us to face a team that athletic in the sectional. So it gets us ready for when we want to be playing our best football, which is at the end of the year.
Yeah, very true. And as you said, bottom line is, if you can get some key players back, which I guess will be really a big thing this week, right? Because of the injury situation, you've shown that you can play with these teams. It's just a matter of playing with them in the entire 4 quarters.
Exactly. It's a consistency thing. It's a being able to, as we told our kids after the game against McCutcheon, it comes back to things like the weight room. Yeah. It comes back to things like body language. What is your body language showing that you're thinking right now? And it's screaming to me that you aren't ready to go back on the field, or you're not giving 100%, or, we're not strong enough yet to the point to be able to handle 4 quarters of a good, well-coached team that has been in the weight room a lot. So those things are things that we're continuing working on to build a good foundation. It's brick by brick, and you don't want to leave a brick out. So we'll get there. It's just going to take some time. And, again, this is another opportunity for us to go against a good team. Our coaches get excited about scheming against teams like this because they're very well coached, very athletic, and they're going to show you a lot of different things that you maybe haven't seen against some other teams.
It'll benefit you down the road for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah. Now, I heard you say it is a 7:30 this week, right?
Great point. Okay. We'll start at 7:30 this week as opposed to 7. I think they've moved everything back because of whatever things they have going on, whether it's homecoming or senior night. And so it'll be a 7:30 start, so that'll help us a little bit in terms of travel up there. But obviously it'll get us back later.
Yeah. All right. Good luck this week, Coach.
Thank you very much. Go Red Devils.
All right. Head Coach Tony Lewis. Again, we'll have the game for you pregame at 7, kickoff at 7:30. All the action, as always, right here on Radio Troy Digital Sports.